Hey folks, Deano here again. This time, take a look at something a bit different. I thought I would take a little trip down memory lane, seeing as how pretty much everything I've ordered recently has either been cancelled or delayed. Yeah, the bootleg Androids I've purchased 4 times now, of supposedly different sellers, and every single time they've not shown up, aka they don't have them in stock but they're selling them anyway. So I think that's a bit of a bust. As for the Gammas, they were supposed to come into stock in March, then April, and now it's May and there's no update yet. I'm hoping Karibo updates it shortly. But yeah, not doing too great on the Dragon Ball stuff. At the very least, Demoniacal Fit is releasing their Xeno Vegito Blue, which is basically Vegito with the clothes of if he'd fused with Goku and Vegeta from the Resurrection F saga, which is quite cool. And obviously their base form Goku is supposedly coming out in May as well. We'll see if that doesn't get pushed back or anything like that. But yeah, fun times, folks. That's the only reason I've not been posting. Literally no content has came through the door. So why not look at some old stuff? Yeah, this is Tyranno Ranger, otherwise known as the Red Mighty Morphin Ranger, tournament outside of Japan. Yeah, this guy released a long time ago now. What's the date on the box? Actually, 2013, literally 10 years ago. It's hard to believe the Figuarts line has been going for as long as it has. But yeah, they're quite outdated now, let's be honest. And pretty much the reason I'm focusing on them is because Hasbro's Lightning collection has started doing quote-unquote premium release figures. I know the Lightning collection was already supposed to be sort of premium, but they're releasing the Mighty Morphin line with brand new head sculpts and extra paint details, and quite honestly, here's a sneak peek, they don't look half bad, especially for 30 quid per figure. Can't complain about that, really. So yeah, over the next few months or so, you'll be seeing reviews of these figures going up on the channel as they release. So yeah, now that all the waffling is finally out of the way, let's take a look at this guy, shall we? Or better yet, the box first. So yeah, it was just typical Figuarts sort of packaging for the time. Nice picture of him on the front there. Tyranno Ranger. This was round about the time that they loved putting that blurb literally everywhere. No foil sticker because it's really that old. There was an approved by toy company logo on it. Some pictures on the back of his pose and the weapons, things like that. And because these released around the time of, what is it, Akiba Ranger, was it? This is all in Japanese, so I really couldn't tell you. It was like a parody of Sentai at the time, and red and green Mighty Morphin, or Zyuranger, appeared, pretending to be powerful rangers. The parody was actually quite good for what it was. They were literally taking the mince out themselves. But yeah, that'll do it for the box. Let's take a look at this guy's accessories, shall we? And because this was old school Figuarts. It came with a lot. In terms of the Blade Blaster, to begin with, apologies, I know both Zyuranger and Mighty Morphin, but I grew up with Mighty Morphin, so the terms that come out my mouth will probably be for that. So don't hang me from the rafters if I get it wrong. So this is Blade Blaster in holster mode, which is very highly detailed for how small it is. So yeah, looks good. You also get the Blade Blaster in blade mode. Again, detailed just as nicely. The Blade Blaster in blaster mode. You get a lot of forms with red. You didn't get so many with what do you call it, the rest of the team. They sort of cut back as they were making them. You've got the Thunder Slinger, I believe it was called. They only really used this in a few episodes when the adaptation got a bit messy. And the Blade Blaster Thunder Slinger combined mode, which again doesn't look half bad. The details on it are really quite good. He also comes with his power sword, which is actually very, very nicely painted. You've got the details on the blade itself, you've got the gold on the hilt, you can even see the T-Rex embossed or tampographed onto that gold coin. Black and gold trim on the sword handle itself, although because mine is so old the paint has worn slightly. And finally, for non-hand accessories, you get the Powerful Rangers accessories, which is basically the exact same belt and neck that he has, only with an American flag attached to it. And as you can see there, you can just about make out the T-Rex. Is that the right way around? That one? Yeah, you can just about make out the T-Rex there. So yeah, it also comes with a literal ton of hands. You get the pair of sort of T-Rex martial arts posy hands. You get a pair of fists. And you get 3 separate pairs of holding hands, because apparently one isn't enough to have the perfect hands for each weapon. Honestly, back in the day, Figuarts used to go absolutely mental with accessories. Not so much nowadays, they're cutting back quite a bit and putting the prices up at the same time. And the ones that's one is on him, those are for the sword. So yeah, let's take a look at Red himself, shall we? So yeah, one of the chronic issues with the Figuarts Sentai / Power Rangers line is that they were very, very thin. Like, I know in the Japanese footage the suit actors were quite thin, but this is just another level. Honestly, I will say the head, which Red Ranger's helmet is notoriously difficult for sculptors to get right for some reason. They actually done a really good job. The visor's a little bit too curved. There should be like a V shape in the end. But yeah, they've done a decent enough job. In terms of other sculpt work, there's not a lot. The diamonds aren't just painted, they are sculpted, so you can feel it. And yeah, the normal morpher and coin right there. Can just about make out the details. I don't know why they didn't just go with the tampograph design that's on the sword, but it is what it is. Yeah, apart from it being thin, it's a dead ringer for the Mighty Morphin suits. What I don't like, however, is these shoulder pads, which back in the day, literally every single Sentai figure they released had these stupid floating pieces which just got in the way every single time. Like, nowadays, Tamashii aren't afraid to segment their figures for more articulation. But back in the day, like, if they could get away with hiding it, they would, which is why the bicep swivel is away up at the shoulder. So it's kind of wasted, in a sense. But yeah, not a lot else to say, apart from the fact that the holsters and such don't have the black line, which, strangely enough, the Lightning Collection Remastered do, even though it's a bit thick. It's a bit haphazardly applied. But it is there compared to this one, which isn't. So yeah, in terms of articulation, he looked up really well. Looked down. Side to side. The neck is very, very mobile. I think it's just a standard ball hinge, but it does really well here. Arms can go up really well. They can go round, but that stupid shoulder piece gets in the way. Upper shoulder swivel. I'm not calling it bicep swivel because it doesn't do the job. Double jointed elbows. Get good enough job. Ball hinge at the wrists. You get a waist articulation and upper abs, which gives him quite a lot back, not a whole lot forward, which is a bit strange. Obviously, swivel at the waist, and the old school pull down hips for that extra articulation, which, to be fair, actually did work really well on these old school figures. You got thigh rotation in there as well. Double jointed knees, which looked horrendous, I'll be honest. And long before the Dragon Ball line adapted it, you'd get actual ball hinges at the feet instead of just a ball peg, which gives them a lot more range of motion. So yeah, you can go up and down dead easy, and the toe completely unhindered. So yeah, I won't be swapping out the neck and waist piece. Sorry for those of you who like to watch me squirm on camera, but those are just an absolute pain in the backside to put on, and frankly, there's no way I'm doing it. So yeah, all in all, decent enough figure, and still going for a decent enough price. Not the Japanese release. Tamashii actually reissued green, white and red for the 25th anniversary of Power Rangers, with civilian heads for the three of them, which the figures are identical, the heads are meh, which is why I never got them, but it's kept the price down, on those versions of the figure, at least. So yeah, if you're looking for them, they are still about if you know where to look, mostly eBay. But yeah, guys, that'll do it for this review. I'll see y'all later.